Candace Owens finally receives her Negro wake up call by O'Shea Duke Jackson. Let's get into it. Candace Owens has been on a roll lately, apparently, when she's been like exposing billionaires and their connection to the Charlie Kirk incident and their ties to that state in the Middle East. And I don't really fuck with Candace Owens at all. But I do think that when she talks about those people, she's right on the money. It's just that when she talks about the black community, she goes brain dead. But let's see what's happening.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. Since the death of Charlie Kirk, there is nobody who has cast in more on this than Candace Owens. Don't get me wrong, we're all making some money off of the news and things that are transpiring. There is
Oh yeah, she misses her man. She misses her man for sure.
nobody actively making cash off this like Candace Owens. Let's look at the last few episodes. To my friend Charlie Kirk, 6.3 million views. They are lying about Charlie Kirk, 8.2 million views. Charlie Kirk shooting suspecting charge, 5.3 million views. Who ordered the hit on Charlie Kirk? 3.9 million views. Okay, and now this title gives a lot of speculation that Charlie Kirk wasn't just killed by Tyler Robinson. Charlie Kirk was killed by somebody else. Tyler Robinson just carried out the hit. Now, in these thumbnails, you see usually pictures of Netanyahu from Israel. And of course, it has been revealed that Charlie Kirk has some issues with Israel. And Candace Owens has been implying that basically Israel is responsible for his death. Now, it's important to know that Owens and Kirk were once collaborators at Turning Point USA until she resigned in 2019 amid controversy over her remarks defending Adolf Hitler. And their relationship had deteriorated due to her increasingly anti-Semitic views and criticism of Israel, which Kirk supported.
See, here's the thing, right? They'll call you anti-Semitic. They'll call you all these different things. They'll never call you a liar. Candace Owens never actually said anything that was anti-Semitic, because to be anti-Semitic means you have to be against a Semitic people, but they can't be Semitic if, one, they're from Europe and they're interlopers, and two, she never actually said anything against the Jays in general, right? Like, she wasn't making a blanketed biased statement saying that, oh yeah, they deserve, to die or something like that. She was simply pointing out historical inconsistencies in the narrative. That's not anti anything. It's pro-truth. And I was actually surprised when she did that, because it's like, dang, for once she decided to tell the truth. For once she decided to be one of the good guys, right? And so there's this sort of gaslighting that we've been exposed to, that we've been conditioned to adhere to, where if you question these people, you are then a bigot, you are then a racist, even though they can't decide if they're a race or a religion or the ethnicity. They can't make up their mind. They're shapeshifters. So they don't, one minute they're a race and they're their own race, next minute they're white and they're part of Western civilization. They can't even stick to a story. And so pointing that out, and then pointing out like the roles of the bankers and the world wars and everything like that, and the fact that it was a banking war and had nothing to do with actually combating global fascism, and it actually promoted global fascism more than anything else, that is not a bigoted take.
So what this would have meant then is Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens were nearly not as close as she would like it to be or make it out to be. She's making it out to be like, oh, they're best of friends. He's the best thing that ever happened to her. But obviously, with her criticism of Israel, there was really no way that Charlie Kirk could be even seen hanging out with Owens that much since 2019. Right. He was already.
And that's the thing, right? Like, Candace Owens is a black woman. She's going hard for her man, right? Going harder than his wife even on his passing. Posting videos of them together. Oh, my dear friend, this and the third. That man abandoned you when it was no longer politically convenient. He essentially abandoned you for money and to support racist worldviews. Yes, he gets his money, his funding from those people, from those organizations, those donors, those lobbyists, those Jays. But he also, again, they were co-partners in supporting racist rhetoric, but He also felt it was more salient to support a racist apartheid state that was actively oppressing a marginalized group of people than it was to stay loyal to his friend. And here she is out here talking about singing his praises. It's despicable, and it's actually tragic to see on her account, but tragic people do tragic things, and that's just who they are.
In some trouble just hanging out with Tucker Carlson. And so Candace Owens would have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, again, it's not only that she's been making these videos or live streams about Charlie Kirk. She's also been making tweets that Netanyahu and Israel killed Charlie Kirk. Okay, at least it's implied. I can't say she's trying to say that, but if you read these tweets, it can be implied. Let's look at them. Tucker Carlson just exposed everything Charlie was going through with his Jewish donors and what his true feelings were towards Bibi Netanyahu. Watch to comprehend how sinister the lies are the Zionist crowd is trying to tell right now. Messages exist, stop lying. Now, look at this one. Sorry guys, you murdered my friend. You unlocked the Nigo Montoya in me. We're not stopping until we get to the bottom of this thing. What? Sorry guys, you murdered my friend. Who are those guys? Because there's only one guy that murdered Tyler Kirk. That's the guy by the name of Tyler Robinson. So what does she mean by you murdered my friend?
We know what she
Okay, let's continue looking at some of the...
I hate when people say this. We know what she means. Like, we know exactly who she's talking about, and she's not wrong. She's not wrong.
Other tweets. All Bibi Netanyahu had to do was not lie on Charlie's name in the aftermath, and we wouldn't be here. But he has never been able to meet the challenge. So we see the Jews on the first tweet, no mention of the Jews in the second tweet. In the third tweet, we see Netanyahu's name. And then on the fourth tweet, Awesome Jew was also at the Hampton Summit. Of course, LOL. I'm just sitting here looking at this list, LOLing at them, attempting to spin this as a totally casual fling that was not about Israel. So 3 of the 4 posts that were written all within an hour talk about Israel, except for the you murdered my friend. Now, Candace Owens is playing mind games here, guys. She's trying to say that you murdered my friend, but really we know who murdered the friend. And so people start calling her out on it. And then look at this tweet she posts here. It's crazy how I never once said that Israel murdered Charlie Kirk, but the Zionists are repeating that without a shred of evidence. Remember, if they aren't lying, they aren't breathing. Candace, what are you smoking on? Like,
they must stop giving conservatives this free gold Trump survivor coin.
Starting this month, the 1776 MAGA Resurgence Initiative is taking the nation by storm, rewarding true American patriots with a solid gold Trump survivor coin
Is this AI?
for free. The libs have been absolutely...
Is this AI? What the fuck? They have lost their mind. Holy fuck. Okay.
Absolutely losing their minds over this.
What are you talking about? You're literally implying that these guys killed Charlie Kirk, and now you're acting like somebody else is stupid, and now Israel is lying. Like, these are the kind of mind games that get people in a lot of trouble. $1,000 every video. Nick Fuentes is saying, is Candace Owens going to put all of her receipts about Israel's involvement in Charlie Kirk's death behind a paywall too? Show us the letter Kirk sent to Netanyahu and show us the receipts about his financial offer immediately. This
He's right about that.
Is actually true. Like, she's not.
That's actually a very valid point. Like, I don't disagree with her assessment that that country and Netanyahu had something to do with the Charlie Kirk incident. I don't doubt that for a second. That was actually my immediate inclination, was that they had some sort of involvement. And I post that in another video that I made where, like, Netanyahu was the first politician to, like, announce the passing of Charlie Kirk, I think even before Trump did. It's like, why was Netanyahu that tapped in? All right. On top of that, like, Israeli politicians were spinning but this is before we even had any clue who the perpetrator was. We're spinning it as though it was an attack made by the global left, as they put it, and radical Islam. And there were multiple politicians that said that. It's like, you don't even go here. You're not even in the US. Why would you try to frame his passing on the global left and radical Islam with no evidence at all. Right? So it was very suspicious behavior. It was also the day before 9/11, and we know that they are very much, they very much like to put it in your face. They like to troll and know that you can't do anything about it. They like to make a spectacle of things. Woo dancing Israelis. What else was it? There were just a number of things that were there. And so to doubt that they had any involvement in it, I think would be stupid. They definitely did. They definitely were the perpetrators. They probably ordered the hit. Especially when you look at that Tyler Robinson there was footage of him. I think Candace Owens posted this too. At a Burger King like 15 minutes away from the campus, moments after the incident happened. So it was like, how did he do it if he wasn't even there? And then the footage of like the alleged perpetrator is very untrustworthy, because in some scenes he's shown like limping with a rifle, and then other moments he doesn't have it at all, and then he like assembles it and then disassembles it according to the FBI text messages multiple times, and that takes a very long time to do. And it seems like it just doesn't seem realistic at all. Then the messages look doctored, they look fake, or like AI wrote them or something. So it's very clear that Tyler Robinson, if he was the shooter, he wasn't the only actor. Perhaps there were multiple shooters, so like the JFK situation, where there were multiple shooters, but they only blamed Lee Harvey Oswald, and then Lee Harvey Oswald got knocked off, and the person that knocked off Lee Harvey Oswald got knocked off. And so with Tyler Robinson's situation, it seems like they're blaming him, whether he did it or not, or whether he was the actual person that did it, or he was just a scapegoat. I can't tell you. But I know that the people behind it were definitely them, you know. And so what this guy is saying, O'Shea Duke Jackson, he's like alluding to the fact that Candace Owens has gone mental and that Tyler Robinson is the one that did it. And I do think that a lot of people fall into the trap of plausible deniability, where if it's not proven concretely or materially by like a reputable source, which more often are like proxies for like state media, then people won't believe it at all. And it's like, learn to make your own conclusions based off of patterns. Don't just go based off of narratives. And then to Nick Fuentes' point, which again, I don't fuck with Nick Fuentes at all, but he's right about them. If Candace Owens really has the proof, post that shit. I hate when people say, "Oh, I got the evidence," and then it's time to post it, and you don't show it. You know, your friend got hit up, and you're trying to play games for money. I mean, I guess that's the capitalist spirit, you know, exploit whatever you can, even the passing of your own friend. Do you really care about justice? That's how you know these people are not serious.
Doing that at all, and nobody knows why she isn't doing it, but she just keeps on playing the games, getting people to come over to her YouTube channel to check out everything. And now people are making jokes. Look at this one. Subscribe to my show to see the text. Basically like, making fun of Charlie Kirk's death, right? And then you see other people, and then you see like a lot of people are feeling like this. And then there's this whole idea about Candace Owens not being allowed to speak at Charlie Kirk's memorial, which will be Sunday, September 21st, 2025 at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. It's not a funeral, but it is basically a memorial. It'd be like 60,000 people there. But the question is, if Candace Owens is so like close to Charlie Kirk, why isn't she speaking?
Hearing about the pressure that's even happening with
because
planning this event. And nope, you're right. You got me. I was not invited to speak alongside President Trump and JD Vance on the stage with Tucker Carlson at a memorial event. There's this memorial thing in Arizona, which is not a funeral. It's a memorial event. Okay, that is, by the way, in large part, from what I understand, being controlled by the White House. Trump is controlled by Zionists. So they're like baiting me here. Why would I be invited by anyone in Trump's Zionist administration as I am speaking about topics that I am speaking? It's common sense. They're not going to allow me to share the stage.
So she's calling Trump a Zionist, or he's supported by the Zionists. But it's incredible that Tucker Carlson is able to speak there. She mentioned his name.
I think it's this, all right? Tucker Carlson hasn't been as hard as them on Israel. I'm sorry. Tucker Carlson has not been as hard on them as Candace Owens has been. Tucker Carlson, he won't flip flop on the issue, but he just doesn't have the same degree of fervor. Candace Owens is right on the money. Like she straight up calls out the shit when it comes to them, right? She's more precise with it. On top of that, she is a black woman. And she's going to be like one of like 5 black people there. Maybe Officer Tatum might be there. And Matt Nuclear, who knows, right? You know, those people, those types of black people. And none of them, not one of them is advocating for you. Tucker Carlson, he's not advocating for you to speak. His wife, she's not advocating for you to speak, even though I know apparently they had beef. None of his friends are. None of her former colleagues at Turning Point USA. No, they're not advocating for you to speak. And if the situation will revert, let's say the situation will revert. Let's say somebody else got hit up. Maybe it was, let's say Charlie Kirk was still alive. You're both still alive. Charlie Kirk wouldn't have advocated for you to speak at his own memorial service at all. Charlie Kirk made it clear he don't fuck with you. They don't fuck with you. Nobody is advocating for you. Nobody's speaking up for you. You're a black woman. You need to understand that. You're trying to play the game as though you're a part of the crew. Maybe as though you're on the fringes. No, you were never in the club. You were a token, and every coin gets spent. Every coin gets spent.
Recently just did a podcast with Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson has been critical of Israel, especially when it comes to spending money on, the war or funding Israel. He's basically said many times that, hey, we need to put our money towards our problems and not Israel problems. And yeah, a lot of people in Israel don't like Tucker Carlson, but he's allowed to still speak. But Candace Owens has fallen out with the Jewish community a lot. And now a lot of these guys here are starting to come after Candace Owens' behavior.
I cannot wait. You do not understand. I cannot wait. When we get the Brigitte Macron vagine, when we get Brigitte Macron bobs and vagine, those will be the most expensive ever purchased in history. And I cannot wait. Was it worth it? Candace Owens is going back to the ghetto. She's going back to hanging out outside the corner store, outside the Kono store. I don't know what accent that is. She's hanging out at the corner store with Unc on the lawn chair.
Now, this is in reference to what's going on with Brigitte Macron, okay?
See, he's just a blatant racist. And the fact that she had the audacity to do the interview with him with such, and she tried to portray some degree of dignity and poise against a white supremacist who played in her face and exploited her ignorance for like an hour, 2 hours straight, just shows how much of a clown this woman actually is. Just because she's right about those people doesn't mean that she's not a clown. Broken clocks and everything. A broken clock is right twice a day. Candace Owens is still a clown.
All right. But then there's more.
What you mean you don't take food stamps no more? I'm trying to buy food for my kids. What you mean you don't take DBT no more? What you mean you don't take food stamps no more? What you mean I can't get no food stamp?
As you can see, he's making fun of her, saying that she's going to go back to the ghetto. She's going to be with Uncle on the porch. And so now they're looking at Candace Owens, not even as a black conservative anymore, at least he isn't, but somebody who is basically adding no value to the conservative movement altogether. Then he says this.
All she did for the past week was gaslight the public. And by definition, that's what it is. Gaslight her audience, gaslight the public. Netanyahu lied. They shot him in the throat because they're taking his voice. I have all these receipts, but I'm not going to publish them. And then literally a week later, she's going to put on Twitter, I never said they were behind it. I never said that at all. I just strongly implied it. We all know what you said. We all know what you meant. You dummy. You irresponsible, grifting dummy. I've so had it with that. And at the end of the day, she's just and defines low IQ anti-Semitism. I used to think it didn't exist. I used to think that low IQ anti-Semitism is just something that people would say to counter the rising tide of people acknowledging power. Now I'm convinced it's real. And it has a name. That name is Candace Owens Farmer. Low IQ anti-Semitism. The idea that Charlie Kirk was silenced for being about to go against Israel, it's just on its face absurd and ridiculous.
Now, Nick Fuentes is no friend.
See, it is so funny to see when white people get on code. The switch up is insane, right? Because Nick Fuentes is probably like the most anti-Israel voice in like the modern media right now, right? And even he, as a white man, switched up on Candace Owens, right? Made racialized, very racist gestures and stereotypes about her, just because she's a black woman. Made a mockery of her on his own show, right? And instead of coming together with her on this issue and being like, yeah, you know, I can see how you would feel that way. I can see how you would think that way. I have these opinions as well. Blah 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 blah. He defaults to his racism. And I've made a video before on how white supremacy is the god of this country and the god of this world. That's who they worship first and foremost. Switches up on Candace Owens. Doesn't back her position, which is anti-Israel in this, or anti-Zionist in this situation. Comes for her and makes a mockery out of her. She did an interview with this man where he played in her face, calling black people low IQ. Now he's hopping on here and he's actually siding with the Jays against her. And this is what I mean when I said this before. Zionism is the final is the most recent iteration of white supremacy, but it is still white supremacy at the end of the day. And because it is white supremacy, people who may not even be pro-Zionist, people who may not even like the Jays or like that country, will still side with them over black people, even if black people can see the same thing. There is no coalition of people who are noticing, especially if you're black. You're not in the crew. You're not a part of the club. You will forever be an outsider. Always. Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes did not like Charlie Kirk's rhetoric. He didn't like Charlie Kirk's politics, his position when it came to foreign policy. Maybe on like domestic affairs, but when it came to foreign policy, he didn't agree with Charlie Kirk. He continuously called him multiple things. He said he wasn't a real Christian, called out his religion, or his lack thereof, right? Basically said he has no morals. White man, two white men going at it, right? Black woman interjects. The white man switches up, says, no, you're the problem. You're not doing enough. You've done nothing for the movement. That's crazy. Black people need to realize no matter what, you are not a part of the club. You cannot be black and conservative. They do not care about you. They will switch up on you for nothing.
To the Jews at all. He considers what she's doing as low. Fuentes is no friend to the Jews at all. He considers what she's doing as low IQ anti-Semitism. I mean, if there's anybody who would love to blame the Jews for anything, it would be Nick Fuentes.
Exactly.
But he just doesn't believe that because there's no proof. He's just using his logic and understanding that. And he continues with his position.
The idea that Israel's number one cheerleader on the right wing was somehow killed by Israel, sorry, not buying it. And the people promulgating that idea, they're not even saying that.
So now he's saying, listen, look, nobody believes it at all. It's down bad. You're disgusting. Okay. Now, listen, how is it that Israel's number one cheerleader was deleted by them? That's insane. Even if they were having problems, it would seem like they would have some level of opportunity to get him back on the right track. I mean, Netanyahu did invite him to Israel. But what is implied is that Candace Owens has a vendetta against Israel.
A guy who's close to Charlie Kirk literally said that he was afraid that Charlie Kirk said that he was afraid that Israel would try to unalive him if he's turned against them. And then a month later, he gets eliminated. Nick Fuentes calling Candace Owens a low IQ anti-Semite. Nick Fuentes accusing someone of anti-Semitism is insane. That's how deeply rooted their anti-black racism is. That is the essence of this country, of the political sphere. You're not in the group, bro.
And again, she's trying to spin Israel as the people that have a hit on him, and it's not true, and they're calling it out. And again, it's like she's just doing anything for views. And I mean, just because she dislikes Israel, that's one thing. But again, if you really like this man, this is your homeboy, this is your friend, why are you not focusing on the person that, you know, killed him? And again, this is all about money. Like, Candace Owens knows who kills the guy. And again, she's not a FBI agent. You know, you comfort zone. Like, you're out of your expertise. Your expertise is hating on black people. But again, you can only.
Candace Owens' internalized racism will not allow her to come to the truth, no matter how hard she tries. That's the problem. Even if she speaks out against the Jays, if she speaks out against that country, she will still hold steadfast in her anti-blackness. And that's what's preventing her from leaving the right. That's why she continues to subject herself to this degree of abuse from her colleagues, right? Because Nick Fuentes we consider a colleague in this space. They're both right-wing conservative influencers. So you can't be part of the mainstream Republican movement, right? The right-wing movement, because you know that they're controlled. And you can't be part of the Groypers, as they're called, because they just don't fuck with you because you're black. And you can't come back to the black community because you've already sold your reputation there, all right? You can't join the left because you're too ingratiated in your conservative beliefs and values, right? Which are basically just Western or white supremacist values. So, not the left, but the liberals, right? So you can't be a liberal because you spend your whole career trashing them as well. So Candace Owens is essentially on her own. And she'll think that she's not. She'll think that she's still a part of the crew. And yeah, she'll get her little 8 million views and followers and all that stuff. She'll get that. That's not going to change anytime soon. But in terms of who's supporting her, who's going to give her legitimacy, not many people are going to do that. That's true. Now, whenever it comes to speaking the truth against the lobbyists and their control over our foreign policy, I'm willing to listen. I may not like the bitch. I may not like her. But I will listen. But that's the only thing. Everything else, I'm not listening to Candace Owens.
There for so long. Look at Fresh and Fit. You can only hate on black for so long until you got to get a new strategy, and now it's hating on Israel. The problem with hating on Israel is that they got money and they can find a way to get revenge. All right. Now she's doing pretty good right now because the whites are supporting you. But hey, it's gonna come to a time where you start coming after them too, and then it's game over. So guys,
the reason why she has to come after, the reason why she can't really come to the truth again, she won't be like a, let's say like the Amazing Lucas, for instance, right? Who will call out white supremacy. If Candace Owens were to do that, she loses her white base overnight. Because in order for, the only thing elevating her platform right now is the idea of Zionism, right? Of Zionism, Zionist supremacy. But Zionism is explicitly tied to, intrinsically tied to white supremacy. And so she can never actually get to the root of Zionism because she would never actually address the truth of it. Because then she would lose everything. And so she's stuck in this place. She's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because she can't actually say the truth behind what is causing these systems. Even though she purports to be a person who is perpetuating the truth. And she'll be right here and there. She'll talk about the bankers. She'll talk about the political subversion. She'll be right. When it comes to the root of it, the actual historical essence of why this stuff persists, she won't do that. If she does, she loses the white base. And she can't go back to the black community because everybody already knows what she's done. And she'd be cooked. So she fucked herself. Your anti-blackness will always implode on you. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be 10 years from now, but eventually it will. And she's subjected herself to an abusive relationship with these people because she has an abusive relationship with herself because she hates who she is as a person.